recently interviewing Mr. Rene Zambriana. Mr. Zambriana has worked with the Department of Veteran Affairs, more commonly known as the VA Hospital, for over 20 years now. He has his RN, his BSN, and his ARNP, which is also known as his nurse practitioner. He is currently part of the VA TeleCare system. TeleCare was a special unit that was put together as an after-hours hotline for veterans that are in distress or in need of medical advice. The TeleCare system has both nurse and clerk positions. The clerks mainly handle the non-medical complaints. Mr. Zambriana and other TeleCare staff communicate with a computer system that allows them to enter veterans' information, pull up their records, sends notes to the doctors of the veterans, and much more. In addition to these tasks, the system also allows the nurse or the clerks to give the veteran advice on whether they need to speak with their pharmacist, maybe their doctor, or in some cases, they even need to go to the ER. If looking to become a nurse, regardless of whether you want to be an RN, an LPN, or a nurse practitioner, Rene feels that you should try to get as much schooling under your belt as possible. In addition to school, you'll need to have a wide variety of experiences. The amount of schooling required changes depending on which type of nurse you'd like to be and how far in your nursing degree you'd like to go. Communication within the nursing field is extremely vital due to the fact that you don't only speak with the patients. You also speak with the family members, the doctors, the administrative staff, and any other members that may be helping with a patient. Being a nurse requires you to be able to communicate with anyone. Each person requires a different level of communication since they are all on different sides of the situation. In addition to Mr. Zambriana's extensive schooling, he also has a military background. Mr. Zambriana said that his military background has really helped enhance his communication skills with the veterans. He served in the military twice. His first time was as enlisted with the Marine Corps, and the second time he went as an officer with the Army. Following both of those enlistments, he went on and did 21 years in the reserves. After his first active duty enlistment in the Marines, he went to school for his first degree. He then enlisted in the Army as an officer. Following that enlistment, he went to nursing school. The VA helped Mr. Zambriana through school, which made his degrees a lot easier to accomplish. Mr. Zambriana is also from Puerto Rico, which helps his skills a little bit more. He's fluent in both English and Spanish, and that makes his skills a little more advanced than some of the other members on the TeleCare staff. And it gives him a wide range of veterans to deal with, as some of them do not speak English. However, Mr. Zambriana says that the background of the TeleCare member isn't nearly as important as the background of the veteran. When I asked Mr. Zambriana what the role of communication was in his field, his response was everything within the nursing field has to do with communication, interaction with the veterans. And veterans are the patients that he generally deals with. He feels that it's harder to communicate over the phone because he can't see body language and there's no nonverbal clues to help him tell whether the veterans can completely understand what he's trying to convey to them. Mr. Zambriana feels that communication is the key because he has to modify the way he says things because everyone that he speaks with is slightly different. He had to learn how to gauge people in order to successfully interact with the veterans. No two people are alike, which has been an extremely important lesson that Mr. Zambriana has been taught as being a nurse. Recently, he's noticed that there was an increase in not only younger veterans, but also female veterans. Since the Iraq War, the VA has not only dealt with just members from past veterans from the Vietnam Wars, but they've had a lot of the newer veterans. Mr. Zambriana says that it's much easier communicating with the younger ones, especially now that there are many female veterans that he handles. The female veterans, he feels, communicate much better because women generally tend to be more open with both him and the other staff members. Being a nurse is an extremely hard field to go into. You have to have lots of patients, and you definitely need a lot of background, a lot of experience, and a lot of schooling. It takes a dedicated person in order to become a nurse, and it's a very admirable field.